Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So I am actually recording from home today because I'm going through a little bit of a tropical storm right now, and so I can't make it outside. That said, I did go on a birding trip last weekend, and it was the most fun I can ever remember having on a birding trip in the longest time, if ever. And I really didn't know what to expect that day, but it did turn out to be a pretty major success. Now, I didn't film when I was out there, it was just a day for photography, but I took a few shots that I will share later in the video. Before I get into all that though, I've been sitting here thinking about photography tips, and I wanted to talk a little bit about getting better at photography. You see, YouTube is littered with videos that have lots of tips on how to improve your photography and get better, and I'm not even ashamed to admit that I've made a few of these. But I wanted to stop for a moment today though and think one level deeper about the use of the word better here in getting better at photography. As in, what does it really mean to get better at photography? I know that defined, at least, to be better at something is to improve on it or to surpass some previous level or standard, but what I don't really hear much conversation about, if any, is what that standard for better really is. Like, what is the basis on which we are improving from? I'd actually argue that there's a very simple answer to this question, and it's something that I, again, don't really hear very often in these videos, if at all. So let's first talk through that truth and what it is, and then we'll talk about how to apply that truth to your photography. Part 1, the truth about getting better at photography. The truth of the matter is that you can't really get better at photography until you understand why you do it in the first place. I'm a bird and nature photographer, for example, but that only explains the genre of photography that I like and do. It doesn't really tell you why I do it. And there are countless reasons why you might do it. If you're a nature photographer like me, for example, maybe you love birds and your goal is to just photograph as many of them as possible, or maybe you want to capture their beauty to share it with other people. It could be that you want to document bird behavior or promote conservation, or maybe birding's a social activity for you and you like sharing your photos with your friends or on social media. Or it could be that you are an artist and you want to showcase a bird with a beautiful composition. Or maybe you're more interested in photography itself and gear, and you just really like getting sharp and technically impressive photos. I mean, I could go on and on here, but you get the idea. And even if you shoot a different genre of photography than nature and wildlife, I'm sure that there are countless examples in your genre that you could list as well. The key takeaway here, though, is that you can't begin to improve at your photography until you understand the fundamental reason why you're doing it to begin with. Now, if you've never really thought about this, now might be the best time to pause this video and just do some soul searching about what that reasoning is for you. Really think about the reason or reasons that you go out there and shoot. Now, while you're thinking about it, I do want to show you a few photos from my outing last weekend because, again, I had such a great time. I went out there and saw several lifers. I saw some clapper rails with their chicks. That made the day so exciting, and one of my favorite birds to see, another lifer, was a white ibis, which is just a bird I don't get to see very often because I live a bit too inland. I also very much enjoyed seeing a whole plethora of juvenile yellow-crowned night heron, some of my favorite birds, and I just had a really good time. Before I left too, I managed to capture a portrait of an adult yellow-crowned night heron that I very much liked, and I will be adding this to my print shop, by the way, as an available print to purchase. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description down below if you're interested and you want to support the channel. But okay, part 2, let's apply this knowledge. So now that we've taken some time to think about why we love photography and what drives us to shoot, I challenge everybody to start from the why before deciding how to get better. For example, if you said that you love photography, maybe bird photography, because you want to capture as many species of birds as possible, getting better to you means finding new and improved ways to see more birds and to photograph them. It's more about strategies for the quantity. On the other hand, if your goal is to take very technically correct and well-composed images, then you're going to want to seek out tutorials on general photography skills, gear, composition, etc. It might not be enough just to click on every video that says 3 tips to improve your photography. You're going to want to seek out more specific topics and also selectively skip over some others. Taking this approach is going to help you to improve in areas that bring you more joy and support your real goals, while at the same time freeing you to not stress, worry, and doubt yourself in areas that aren't even important at all to your photography. I'll give you an example of how this looks by sharing with you what my goal is and how I personally apply this principle to my photography. First of all, I love nature and I love birds, and I find that just going out and capturing photos of them is just meditative. The meditation is a big part of why I do what I do. It's just like a quiet time for me to decompress and just enjoy being in the moment, mentally in the moment. I also just love photography, and I like to capture photos that convey a bird's personality and that help my audience to feel the same interest, excitement, and connection with the bird that I did. And when that happens, it brings me a lot of joy. And so what that means for me is for me to feel like I am improving in my photography, I first of all need to find ways to continue feeling meditative when I go out in the field. I might look for ways to simplify my setup, or choose a better location, or redefine my schedule that sometimes I can just, when I go out, not film and just have a great time doing bird photography like I did this past weekend. I'll also focus on learning techniques that are going to help me to get closer to birds without affecting their behavior, so I can maintain that, natural, candid connection. I'll focus on ways to compose my images so that my viewer feels the connection with the bird, maybe by adjusting down to eye level, for example, or including parts of the environment in the shot, or interactions with different birds. Things like that. Those are specific behaviors that can improve and impact my photography in a way that supports my own personal goals and reasons for photography. And if your goal is different than mine, then your focus areas are going to be different than mine, and that's okay, and that's important to remember. So if you're just starting out, it might even be worth seeking out other photographers that not only take photos that you really appreciate and like, but that share the same specific goals as you do, so that you can learn from them and support one another. So what's your reason for participating in photography? What type of photography do you shoot? And what are some specific ways, after hearing all of this, that you think you might be able to further those goals and improve your photography? I want to hear them, so please let me know down in the comments below. All right, well, I hope there is someone out there that needed to hear this today. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that the next time you see me, the tropical storm will be gone and I'll be back out in the field. Thank you so much for watching, for subscribing, and for staying tuned. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.